Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another tropical update here by Age Weather Forecast. This is going to be another update, of course, on the potential for a tropical system to form out here in parts near the Gulf of Campeche, the Gulf of Mexico, and could likely bring in a ton of really threats throughout parts of Florida, the Bahamas, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. So we have major updates on the satellite imagery as well. You can possibly see the system developing here. Very likely we can possibly have this become a system within the next 24 hours here. It's very likely that tomorrow's likely the time we'll possibly have this as a tropical system here, and likely it'll start moving eastward and possibly causing a threat for Florida and the Bahamas. So we have major updates. We're going to look at all the models here on radar, seeing exactly how much of a threat we have, and also we're going to be looking at the precipitation, the vorticity, and everything else. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. But let's get into the video. So as you guys can tell, we don't have anything yet on the tropical weather outlook for the Atlantic, and I think it'll be a bit different by the next update later in the evening. I think they'll definitely possibly have this invest right here, maybe the next coming hours, somewhat right here is where I think this could definitely possibly form into an invest. Right here is where we'll possibly have that area of focus for this formation. I really think that's where it's going to be looking like as we get into the next update by even the evening. And then we also, if it does not form here in the Gulf where we are expecting it to form, I think there's also a possibility for it to form right before the Florida landfall. I really think there's a possibility for that, just based on just looking at everything. So if it does not form, which I really think it will form here, if it does not form in the Bay of Campeche, I really think it would form right here, maybe the Bay of Campeche. Again, this is a general area of focus for this potential land formation, but if not, it would possibly be right here before it hits the Bahamas and Florida. So if of course, we have multiple possibilities and multiple outcomes that can happen, of course, with the system, not just one. So we're going to go ahead and look at the satellite imagery here on the Gulf. And as you can tell here, you have the system now developing here. It's now, you can just see, now we're seeing a lot more dense cloud cover here. As you can tell early this morning, this thing was really not really mostly inland, but now it's starting to move more into the ocean, which is that possibility now for it to form in the next coming hours, because now it's really mostly over, or all of it's under over water now, over these very, very warm Gulf waters. And this is exactly where we talked about that threat. So I really think if it will form a defined formation, it'll be maybe around right here. This is where I think it'll definitely form, so that'll be later today. And if not, maybe just right here as well. So we have this multiple outcomes of this as well. So here we have the circular formation now. It is definitely looking like a system for sure. It definitely has that circular formation. Obviously, as of right now, we don't have any vorticity. You can see these outer bands, though, all the way to the the Gulf Coast, and we're starting to see this widespread now cloud cover into getting more into the Gulf of Campeche. So this is looking very interesting, because it does have, of course, a circular formation. We have that very dense cloud cover in the center of this. So we're just definitely gonna have to keep on looking at this satellite imagery. So maybe we can actually see the visible. So you can definitely see now it is definitely had a lot of cloud cover on this, and as you get over into the day, this system will definitely have a lot more cloud cover. Definitely become a lot more circular. But just for this start of this formation, it already looks like it had the really good circular formation. And look at these outer bands, all these outer bands stretching all the way to the Gulf Coast, and even seeing some maybe outer bands that stretch here. So it definitely has somewhat let's go ahead and just say tropical depression like look, just by the look of it. And now as we look into the radar here for the GFS model here we have, of course, that formation right now. As of right now, looking like very disorganized. But as we get into tomorrow morning, this is where it looks like we could possibly have that formation. It's exactly where I said we can possibly have that area of potential formation, if not right here. So here we're going to be seeing that very, very strong rain right there. It definitely is something right there just north of the Cancun area. Very likely we are going to be seeing that really heavy rainfall, and that is possibly indicating that definitely strengthening of the low pressure system. As you now move later into tomorrow, this system does tend to go just south of Florida. This is where I also think we have the potential area of development if it does not develop in the Gulf of Campeche, because that's definitely going to bring in some really heavy rain towards Cuba, going to bring in some rain showers ahead of time for the Bahamas, and it looks like it just goes on Monday. It just goes south of Florida, so it definitely looks like the Key West will get really hit, but it's going to go really south, just south of areas like Miami, Homestead, but we're still going to be seeing a lot of impacts like strong wind gusts. Flooding still a possibility as well. Also, power outages with the saturated soil and those strong wind gusts. It's an open window for strong impacts, and this could definitely affect the Bahamas as well. So, as you can tell, it looks like it's definitely going to be a pretty decent sized system for not being a not likely going to be a tropical storm. I highly doubt this will be a tropical storm, but it does seem to possibly be a subtropical storm here, and that's not going to move to the northeast, or that's going to be now moving to the northeast, going to bring a lot of heavy rain throughout the Gulf or throughout the Atlantic. Now let's go ahead and check other models here. Let's go ahead and check out the CMC here. It's also been also a good tropical model here as we get now again the next 18 hours. Here we have, of course, that system now a bit more into the Bay Campeche. You're seeing a really big area of circular precipitation. You're seeing all the precipitation like one little circle, which is what you want to see. By tomorrow, here we have that moving just north of Mexico. That's exactly where I think we can definitely have our formation right here. Very, very likely, and if not, right here as well. So this is going to be seeing really strong downpours throughout the Gulf of Mexico here. This is by Sunday, and by Monday does seem later tomorrow does seem this will bring extremely strong rain bands ahead of time throughout the Bahamas, Florida, Cuba, and then this looks like it will just go just to the south, actually, maybe a skin parts of northern Cuba and go straight for the big Bahama Islands. That's going to cause a lot of rain threats and possibilities, and then that will move to the northeast, affecting maybe the Bermuda area and just the northern Atlantic. Now let's go ahead and check out other models here, like this. Instead of the CMC, let's go ahead and check out Icon. This one's also this isn't the most accurate model, but it is, as you can tell, the next 18 hours. This is the refresh model. It's still showing that the potential development, of course, just north of the Bay Campeche. There, let's go ahead and check out now the European model here. This is going to show you a lot of vorticity, so it's going to be indicating the vorticity. So you want to see like these dark red colors here. This is what and you want to see that in really some rotation as well. So you're going to definitely see some vorticity developing here into the areas just south of Florida. This is exactly why I think if it does not form here, does not form of the Bay Campeche, it'll definitely possibly form just before affecting the Bahamas and Florida. So here we have a little bit more defined vorticity or cyclonic rotation, and just as it passes the Bahamas, this is when it has a whole ton of rotation here. And as you can tell, we're going to definitely be seeing very strong and powerful winds, and this will also bring some strong winds behind it as well, and a decent amount of vorticity, and then that, of course, that will be moved to the northeast as well. So now let's go ahead and check out back to the GFS here. If we can go back to the precipitation here, and we can actually see the total accumulated precipitation. Let's go ahead and check out the total accumulated precipitation. So based on looking at the total accumulated precipitation here, let's now move. This is now going to be affecting here. So as we now move later by the end of the system, basically, based on just looking at it, this is where we have that potential development here. Based on looking at the precipitation, you're going to be seeing that whole, just a huge jump from precipitation. 1 second, or just to the east, or just around this, we're seeing less than an inch. And that little area right here, we're seeing more than 4 inches to 5 inches. So that's definitely indicating that potential area of development. So either here or here is where we had the potential development. So we have multiple scenarios. I really think it will develop here, but of course, the weather can obviously change a lot and throw and surprises. And then we have this area of, this is basically our cone, basically using the precipitation as our cone. So this is basically our cone based on this. So it definitely looks like it's going to go just south of the mainland Florida. Of course, then it had the Key West, and that's going to bring it to possibly 4 to 5 inches throughout the Bahamas, parts of far northern Cuba, or far western Cuba, and then obviously you see it's a decent amount of rainfall for areas like Miami, Naples. As you now look into the European model here, this is going to be showing you the precipitation developing right here, or you're going to see that all of that precipitation right here into the Bay Campeche in the far western Gulf of Mexico. That's going to be later today, but as we now get later tomorrow, Tomorrow, I think tomorrow morning is definitely where we have that best chance for development. That's going to be, of course, just kind of just outside the Bay of Campeche. Bay of Campeche is like right here, basically. So it's going to be just outside the Bay of Campeche. So basically, the central Gulf of Mexico is where we have that area, the potential, our first area of, or our best scenario of when we'll be seeing that rotate or development. Here you have all this rain from the system. Here it's going to be right here. By later tomorrow, that's going to bring a ton of rains throughout the Gulf, and then by later tonight or tomorrow night into Monday morning, we'll see these flooding rains now just to the south of Florida there, the Bahamas, parts of right here. So definitely looks like we'll definitely be seeing a ton of rain throughout the Bahamas and also into the general tropical Atlantic by the system. Now, of course, now move to the northeast, possibly affecting the Bermuda area. Some really decent rain. Now we're going to be looking at the GFS vorticity here. So as we begin next 12 hours, here we have that potential vorticity around these areas right here. You're going to be seeing a decent amount. It's not impressive. It's going to be indicating rotation though, or vorticity. And as in the next 24 hours, here we have this vorticity just to the north of like areas of Cancun. So that's basically where we have our area of potential, our cone or areas of where it's track. And then here we have by later Sunday night, it's going to be just to the west of Florida, and it goes right over Key West in the Bahamas there. Now as we go ahead and check out the wind shear. So this is very important. When the more the wind shear is, the better the chance for this system, tropical systems to fall apart. It's the opposite with severe weather. For severe weather, the more wind shear, the better. Or the more wind shear, basically the better the chance for severe weather development there. But also, this is the opposite. Basically the more wind shear in the ocean, the atmosphere, and all of that, the better the chance for this for a tropical system to fall apart. It could either be because it's not enough warm water to develop fast enough, and if it's taking a while to actually develop, that wind shear to take over and so basically we're gonna have kind of the system obviously gonna be like this. It's gonna be cloud systems right there. That's just gonna take the system apart and then drift it off its supposed track and just completely diminish and really just fall apart. But as we now get into where we have our area of where it's right now, as of right now, it's gonna be right here. And then we have the potential area development like right here. So as you can tell, we have a very little wind shear in the area of potential development, which is actually indicating that's where we have that potential chance for development in the Bay of Campeche. Because where it's supposed to develop, which is right here, we have very little wind shear in the surrounding vicinity of this area, but we also have very strong wind shear just surrounding it. So anything in this wind shear that's weakened, that thing will definitely fall apart. And as you see, it looks like by later on Sunday, when it's supposed to be around right here, we have a ton of wind shear taking over. So it's very likely this thing could either like just weaken. Obviously, we have the warmer waters, but really the warmer waters is useless when you have a ton of wind shear. But then by later Monday, we have very little wind shear for the Bahamas. So that's exactly why I said it could also strengthen right before it hits the Bahamas, or really also it could possibly form over the Bahamas as well. And so here we're going to see that a very little wind shear throughout the Bahamas there, and then as it does move to the northeast, we'll be seeing very just a lot of wind shear there. And as we now look at the simulated really just brightness, it's basically just you can see that it's kind of like a similar. It's like kind of like a satellite imagery here. So as we now get the next 12 hours, here we have that whole, or let me actually change colors here. You see that huge system, actually that's not even a good color as well. You have this huge system right here out there into the Western Gulf as we go later into tomorrow. That's when we see our best chance of, as you can tell, it has its best, like it looks like it has the best look of formation and our best look of a tropical system. This is all adding up, all the things like vorticity, even the precipitation that when it comes to radar, all of those are showing the best indication of a system to develop it right here. It's everything's adding up to that. So the central Gulf of Mexico, just outside of the Bay of Campeche, is where we have the potential development, and of course it's also going to bring in you're going to see that it's going to kind of fall apart a little bit as it goes into the Caribbean, and then basically of course it does go to the northeast there. And then last thing we'll be looking at is the precipitation here on the European. This does seem to be the most accurate. Here we have this huge area. This is basically our track. So basically, this is where we have our track right here. It's going to go to the northeast here. This is basically our track right here. So this is where we have our potential area of where it's going to hit the hardest, possibly the strongest winds, most vorticity. And you can see we're going to be seeing a ton of rain, up to 10, maybe 11 inches of rainfall. That 11 inches of rainfall is going to be just to the east of the Bahamas. So that's where we could possibly have that strengthening as it moves past the Bahamas. But look at this. If we're far as southern Florida, we're going to be seeing up to 7 to 9 inches of snow rainfall. So like I'm saying, it may not make a direct impact, but it's going to bring impacts just to the north as well. It's going to bring extremely heavy rain and winds. Again, like with Dorian, obviously it was right here, moving throughout right here, and then it stalled right here, right? It stalled. Well, it was outside, didn't make a direct impact, but we saw extremely strong winds out here to the west, of course. So it may not have made an impact, but of course this is just gonna go this might actually hit the Key West and then go right here based on this. So it could hit Florida, but just not the mainland areas. But we're definitely be seeing it to around 4 to 8 inches for parts of southern Florida. So definitely crazy here. And I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If we have any huge updates, I will have another video on this. But I will have, based on it right now, a different video for later this afternoon. But if the NOAA does finally put a disturbance or invest, I will definitely post on it. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and bye guys.